want to talk more about the gaslighting concept, and it's only because I got a request asking me to share a little more about gaslighting, where it derives from, the dynamic, and what the motivational factors are in it. So, first off, gaslighting is when somebody tries to, pardon my language, fuck with your reality. When, it came from a movie back in the 40s, with Ingrid Bernhardt, I believe. She played the character of a woman who got involved with this guy, and the guy killed somebody. And she had money and all this stuff, and he was very charming in the beginning, and he eventually started to play mind games with her. Would give her gifts, and then the gifts would come up mysteriously missing, and he would imply that she had a bad memory and this and that. She was always famous for misplacing things. He'd say go out and do things, be out on the town someplace, but really be upstairs making weird noises in the house. Just trying to drive her insane. And and it almost worked, Of course, gaslighting is, people can whisper things and then deny ever saying them. They can make strange noises and deny, oh, I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. When, in fact, they know that they did hear it or see it or said it, or was, in fact, the one responsible for maybe making the lights flicker or dim, and all these things to mess with the person's reality. And the reason, the motivational factor for this type of behavior is about control. And it's usually control over the victim with either money, sex, being left. It's an attempt to gain a psychological hold over the victim. Now, this method is used by both narcissists and the sociopaths, the psychopaths. And somebody, who is a clear narcissist may not have a sociopathic tendencies, but usually, in some ways, they do overlap. It's a tool that is really famous. It's a famous tool used by narcissists and sociopath and psychopath. And there is a difference between psychopath and a sociopath. But that's not what this video is about. I can educate on the difference with that, and I will in another time. But it's just, but speaking clearly about the narcissist or any one of the three doing this, an everyday person's not going to go out and gaslight somebody. I couldn't do it. I've done it to give somebody a taste of their own medicine because I've had it done to me. But it's not effective to try to give a narcissist a taste of his own medicine or her own medicine. And now with gaslighting, generally the victim is female and the gaslighter is a male. And generally speaking, it is like that. I'm not saying that a woman isn't capable of gaslighting, but just within relationships, where there's this dynamic going on, it is usually a man doing this to a female. The victim is female. So, never understood why that is, except that women, we react more to we're more emotional, outwardly, or most of us are. I'm not an emotionally outward person, so I'm a little different. I dealt with 2 gaslighters in my life, and I told both of them, I said, I am one nut you'll never crack. And I meant it. I meant that. This is not how you're going to gain control over me. If anything, you will lose me doing this. This is not effective. This is, you want something from me, you just need to be man enough and tell me what it is that you want, or what it is that is compelling you to feel like you gotta do that, because I don't appreciate anybody trying to mess with my reality. We rely on our senses every day. When we cross the street, we look both ways, we listen, for cars, and I've said this in the previous video, we rely on our senses to make decisions, critical decisions every day. And when somebody comes along and starts to try to alter that and mess with that, it's pretty sick, it's pathetic, and it's infuriating. And and when you find out and you figure out that that's what somebody was doing to you, no. If you're in a circumstance, where somebody's toying with your reality, I would tell you to get out, because you're not going to change a gaslighter. The gaslighter has to recognize that he has a problem. Or she. Okay? They have to recognize that. Most of them don't. They shift the blame back onto the victim. You're hallucinating. You're crazy. You need to get help. You need to do this. What's going on with you? The shift of blame always goes back to the victim instead of taking ownership for, yeah, I did do that. I don't know why I'm doing that. I really, or some, I don't remember. There's no way I believe I would do that. I'm I'm an upstanding citizen, and blah, blah, blah. It's just all games. It's all games. And it breeds toxicity. When somebody starts gaslighting another person, it breeds toxicity. And eventually the victim will get angry. And, until the relationship ends, or you separate. And maybe in separating, maybe, doubtful, but maybe, the gaslighter will realize, wow, what I really had was a good thing. This person really didn't deserve this. Maybe, but I say doubtful because, if they're always blaming everybody else instead of taking stock in themselves, how could they possibly recognize that? They could have the best person in front of them and, still do that and not have an ounce of acknowledgement or ownership. And it varies in ages, there are people that gaslight in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and when you meet somebody who is like that, chances are they did that before. They did that before, did it to somebody else, or, because the normal person doesn't do that. The average person doesn't do that. And believe me, I'm not perfect. I will never claim to be perfect. I've made my share of mistakes, in relationships, whether it is intimate relationships with family, friends, whatever. I've made my share of mistakes. I've said some things in anger or whatever, I have, I'm a human being. But to set out and intentionally try to manipulate somebody into succumbing to be what I want them to be, no. No. You know, it's, you know, with friends, family, partners, friends, whatever, you know, there are things about other people that irritate us and things like, God, I wish he or she would knock that off and this and that. But you know what? At the end of the day, you know, you love that person and that person is lovable and all this stuff. And it's like, well, that's part of the way he or she is. It's all good. But when somebody is, you know, intentionally, gaslighting is very harmful psychologically, you know. And let me tell you, you know, a narcissist, you know, comes across one way, very charming and all this stuff, will love bomb you and tell you you're the best and they love you and want all this stuff with you. But they're probably the most insecure people. And that's where all these crazy behaviors come from, is because they're so insecure. You know, and the problem is because they don't have the inclination to look inside and look at those insecurities and address those insecurities and get the help for those insecurities, that all these sick dynamics develop, like gaslighting or other types of abuse, physical abuse, you know, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. There's a vast array of sick dynamic that goes on with, you know, gaslighting and narcissism and toxicity in relationships, that people end up getting hurt badly. And for what? You know, for what? For money, or to manipulate sex, to, you know. And my question to the narcissist is, how can you live with yourself? But a narcissist's conscience is different. You know, I couldn't live with myself to go out and intentionally, you know, manipulate somebody's reality and make them fearful. Whisper things, go in the bathroom and whisper things, or, you know, drink a cup of coffee and accuse the other person of drinking it, acting like trying to play them for a fool. It's downright insulting, it's degrading, it's humiliating, it's disrespectful, it is wrong. You know, and to say, you know, to give the narcissist the taste of his or her own medicine just fuels the fire and keeps it going. You know, so, you know, I hope that this helps some. I mean, I hope I shed some light on what gaslighting is and what the motives are, and, you know, what personality disorders are. Because I've done a video on this before, but somebody wanted further elaboration, therefore I'm giving it. And, you know, I hope that this was informative. And if you're in a situation, a circumstance like that, get out. Do yourself a favor and get out. And you'll find when you get out, everything goes back to normal. Everything goes back to normal. No altering of reality, and everything is back to normal. And believe me, you can't put a price tag on peace of mind. You can't. It's priceless.